Contest prep update number 1. We are 5 weeks, 2 days out. I honestly have not been keeping track of the amount of weeks out that I have been this whole entire prep. I've just been checking off the boxes, showing up every single week, day in, day out, doing the damn thing. And to be honest with all of you, this has been the most stress-free prep that I've ever had. Before I, dive into, the formal prep update and everything, one of the biggest things that I pride myself on as an athlete and as a coach, husband too, father, is not making the same mistakes twice. So if I fuck up, I go back to the drawing board and I troubleshoot and I find ways in which I don't ever do that again. So 2017 prep, when I returned to the bodybuilding universe, I had no target on my back. I was the most stress-free. I just wanted to get back up there on stage. I wanted to see if I could actually hang with the crop of athletes because this sport just continues to evolve and increase in level of difficulty with those that you face. So in 2017, I had no expectations, stress-free as hell. It was the easiest prep to date. What ended up happening was I won my pro card. I placed top 5 at my pro debut, and then I won my first world title. 2019, I thought that I needed to, one, increase the level in which, I put forth towards this bodybuilding endeavor. And I'll be honest with you guys, it caused me and my wife to butt heads, mainly because we both worked an absurd amount of hours and we were, juggling a prep, we were juggling, kid in school, me starving myself. But I started to realize that it started to seep into my happiness and it started to detract negatively from all other areas of my life because I was a bit too hyper-focused on the end goal, which was the stage. And I detailed that in like a 4-part series post 2019 Worlds. So during the off season, after my wife, was diagnosed with breast cancer, me and the wife and Tegan, we sat down and we pretty much mapped out my whole 2022 year. And I had a really long, deep, honest conversation with the wife, with myself too. And I pretty much, drew that line in the sand and I'm like, I'm not doing that shit again. I'm not putting that much pressure on myself to succeed. I mean, obviously everybody, when it comes to competing, I'm a super competitive person. We all want to win. But I realized when you get that tunnel vision and it starts to just detract and cloud, your peripherals, that's when you need to intervene and be like, yo, you need to take a fucking step back. You need to chill the hell out. And that has kind of been my motto and my theme for this prep. I was debating on being a little bit more open, honest, and vulnerable, which I've always been in previous preps. So in 2009, 2011, 2017, 2019, I'm an open book, and I'm still an open book. I'm just not an open book in regards to my physique because I want everybody to see what builds the physique, which is the training, the nutrition, and then having that support system and having a life, as opposed to just constantly flooding a feed with my glute pictures. They will eventually surface, but I would much rather express my art at the moment how I want to. And that's through training. My passion for training exceeds competing. I just love the training. I love the training. Competing is kind of just like the byproduct of the training. Obviously, I want to win. I mean, who doesn't want to win when they starve themselves for extended periods of time? But all in all, I really can't wait to just get back to more productive training. I think of these as phases. So, you exit an off season, you head into a contest prep, and most people think that's just it. These are all transitional phases, all stringed together, and everything is a part of a ever-evolving plan, as it should be for an athlete. Very similar to like periodization, you want to consistently get better year to year to year to year, as opposed to, oh, this is off season, oh, this is prep. Nope, we're slowly building up to actualize and realize our full potential. But yeah, enough of that mumbo jumbo BS. You guys don't want to hear any of that. we'll get more in-depth philosophical at a later date. So back to the prep updates. So we're 5 weeks and 2 days out for the WNBF Pro Universe, as I already previously mentioned. I am currently, as of this morning, I hit a new low post-vacation in which I did not train for 3 days straight, so y'all need to chill the fuck out during prep. I hit 154.6 this morning. So in comparison to 2019, I'm about, it's a different scale, so I'm about 8 pounds over at the moment. Sleep is the best that it's been yet. For those that don't know, I've always had sleep issues. 2019 was terrible. I was sleeping anywhere from 3 to 4 hours per night at the tail end of that prep. Walking 15,000 plus steps due to my work, and I lost a lot of muscle. I was doing way too much, and again, that was one of the biggest differences this prep as well, was setting boundaries and prioritizing, one, my mental health, but two, me, in the sense that I need sleep, to function 100%, to be the best me for, my wife, my son, but also my athletes as well, along with the business. So my body weight, 154.6. We are not aiming to be 100% at debut show number 1. Again, guys, it's a warm-up show. You should not be 100% peaked for every single damn show throughout the course of your season. It's unrealistic, it's impractical, and you cannot peak a fully 100% fat-free physique more than twice, to be honest with you, and twice is really pushing it. So we want to get better as the season progresses, as opposed to peaking a little bit too early. And obviously that is a whole other topic as well, but you do risk losing muscle tissue, in my opinion, especially for myself, by hanging out at, body fat levels that may be a little bit too low for you. And once you start seeing training regress, that, in my opinion, is an indication that either food needs to start coming up, or we need to intervene a little bit with recovery and stress management protocols. So again, 5 weeks, 2 days out, 154.6, I think I said. We're aiming to be about 149, 151. We're gonna bring a little bit more fuller of a package to the show. And then over the course of the season, just look to improve and harden up while retaining as much tissue as possible. Because we know I can get lean, it's just preserving all of that new muscle that I did gain. And with the pictures and the progress updates weekly, it's looking like I'm gonna be pretty filled out bantamweight finally. And hopefully, knock on wood, I may be a lightweight. I'm definitely a lot more full up top. That was the main goal. It was bringing up those top lines. It was bringing up the arms. It was bringing up the back. And so far, what I'm seeing, I'm impressed. Obviously, I'm not content, because who the hell is, to be honest with you. But in terms of how this prep has just gone, it's been easy. And for those that are in the thick of it, keep pushing, and just be honest with yourself. I do have days where fatigue hits. I have days where hunger trickles in a little bit, but it hasn't been nearly as bad as it has been in previous years. And I think that's just because I'm not thinking about prep. It's not really on my mind. And that should be, your perspective when you are dieting. It's controlling the inner dialogue in your head, because the body follows the mind in a sense. And if we are constantly, consuming bodybuilding content, if we are constantly consuming, food content, it's going to be in the back of our mind. And I really feel like people set themselves up for defeat by just consuming too much. But there hasn't really been too many rough patches. There really hasn't been that many things to know, and that's kind of why I haven't detailed as much of this prep either. Obviously not wanting a target on my back, but there hasn't really been too many exciting parts during this prep. And that was why I wanted to wait until my debut show to, one, relieve myself of all the pressure, nerves, and anxiety that we all have as we approach that deadline. This is the least stress, I've felt, heading into a debut show, which wasn't really the case in 2019. The Max Height show, I was a little nerve-wracked a little bit since it was my first time flying. 2017, a little nerve-wracked. Same with 2011 and 2009. But I'm excited. I'm really excited to get up there on stage with Berto. It's surreal to think of. This is a bucket list goal of mine. It's a dream of mine that I have wanted to check off since getting into the sport back in 2009 when, Berto took me on as his first, prototype client, his first prototype bodybuilding client. So getting able to face off against my first coach and somebody that I've always looked up to, within this sport and modeled my own after, I'm really looking forward to it. And there's a few other really big names too that I'm eager to see how I stack up against. But I'm just looking to get back into that community and just seeing everybody. I'm looking forward to seeing my boy Teddy, Bearcat, just everybody. Like I love this sport so much. But yeah, physique updates will be hitting the gram after September 24th. I'm going to keep everything low at the moment. Maybe show some abs in the future. But in terms of full physique updates, I'm still gonna be the shadow, Yates / Yearwood style. But everything's great. In terms of stats, I'm 5'6", 5'7". I last competed at about 143, 145 pounds, fully depleted, as a bantamweight at the 2019 World Championships, where I won my second world title. My current training split and setup is very basic. It's push, pull, legs, push A, pull A, legs, and then off, and then push B, pull B, off, and then rinse repeats. So I'm only training legs once per week, with a hip hinge added to a pull day. And I have found that training performance, muscle retention has been 100% in comparison to 2019, where training volume was a little bit higher and frequency was a little bit higher as well. So this year I wanted to, experiment with a different split just to see if I was able to get away with less. And in turn, strength retention, muscle retention has been the best yet. And again, it's not on a Monday through Friday split. I train according to my biofeedback. Now, obviously, some days I'm going to feel like shit regardless. So those days I take an extra warm-up set here and there, or I take a little bit more mental prep prior to those working sets. But I have definitely found that lowering the training volume has just improved training quality greatly. In terms of macros and just meal plan distribution, I decided this prep to forego my 2017-2019 bad habit of not having a default diet until the final weeks. And it has helped tremendously in terms of eliminating food focus and just, paralysis analysis and decision fatigue that everybody deals with in prep. We don't want to be playing macro Tetris when we're, 4 weeks out, 2 weeks out, 1 week out. You want to keep shit more or less the same. And it's not that I'm not one that likes a diverse amount of food groups or food sources, because I'm pro flexible dieting. I just feel as an athlete, not of my caliber, but as you advance throughout the course of your training career, bodybuilding career, you start to recognize areas in which that you can improve upon, and that you may have left gains on the table or improvements on the table. And nutrition was definitely one of them, because I was holding on to that if it fits your macros way too much. And I definitely abused it in 2009, 2011. Shout out to Eric Kornrig for coining that. But I definitely adopted more of, I would say, like a bro approach to eating, and in turn, my training, my nutrition, just my overall outlook on, nutrition for sport has definitely changed. And I think there's no no question about it in regards to that being very supplemental towards muscle preservation during this prep. So diets, at the moment, we have been digging pretty darn hard for the past 4 to 6 weeks. Carbs are 120, fat is at 52, and protein's at 215. So I've been on about 1,700 calories for a hot minute. And again, hunger hasn't really been there. I'm not really focused too much on food at the moment, to be honest with you. I'm too busy and too consumed with just everything else in life. And I know what true suffering is. I know what true suffering is, and self-induced starvation is not it. We have 1 refeed, so 6 slow days, 1 refeed. Carbs are at 350. Fat gets bumped up to 57, I believe, if memory serves correct, and then 190 protein. So a little bit of bump. So 6 slow days followed by 1 high day. Cardio is currently 2 15-minute-less sessions. My steps are high as is, so 10,000 plus. I don't chase steps for the sake of chasing steps. If it's 8 p.m. at night and I've hit 8,000 steps, I'm not going outside at 10, 11 o'clock at night just to get those 2,000 steps in. I'd rather just go to sleep, rest up, recover, get after it the next day. Fat loss will come, and again, it's not always going to occur on a day-to-day or weekly basis. And sometimes you might have a scale stick. So things to definitely consider in the future for those that will be prepping. But beyond that, I'm going to keep this, I know it's already long as shit, but I want to hear some feedback just in regards to what people want to hear. If you want to see kind of what I eat on a daily basis, if you want to see more insight from training, let me know. And yeah, that will be it. I'm going to put the nail in the coffin here on vlog update number 1. Maybe we can, start stringing these together. Thank you for listening and watching if you're still here, and I look forward to seeing you in the second edition. All right, see you.